All right, you are looking at the Freedom Ball, one of the three galas being held tonight. And Donald Trump is expected to leave the White House momentarily to go to the Liberty Ball. And we will take that live as he speaks for a couple of minutes and then dances with his wife. But first, let's come back to Charles Krauthammer, who's been listening in rapture, I might say, to my talking points memo. What was the headline, though, for you? All day you've been watching this stuff. What's the headline?
Populist wins presidency, doesn't hide it. This is a serious populist. This was not a conservative speech. This was not in the mold of Reagan. So I think it marks the end of Reaganism. It's really a third-party candidate, which is what Trump was in many ways, who ran under the banner of the GOP. So he has this interesting position. He offers a vision that's populist through and through. But he stocks his administration, the cabinet, with conservatives whose agenda is entirely conservative. So they're going to go after the teachers' unions, school choice, go after the EPA, deregulation, increase energy. All the traditional items on the Paul Ryan agenda, you could say the Reagan agenda. And what makes it all the more ironic is that to get that through, he's going to need the establishment, Republican anyway. But
the Republicans will follow him unless he does breaks with the orthodoxy. But do you think it was appropriate, now that's an interesting word, for him to basically scorch Barack Obama, scorched him, all right, and jab Bush the Younger as well, in that forum when they're sitting right behind him?
Generally, I don't, but there is a little bit of poetic justice here. I remember Obama in 2009 being very critical with George W. sitting right there next to him. I don't think a place where the object of your attack is necessarily unable to respond, I don't think it's the place where you attack somebody. So in some sense, Obama, if you want to say he started, but generally speaking, inaugural addresses, he ought to be much more general. But look, Donald Trump is not general. Donald Trump is specific.
Right.
He believes something, he says it. Part of his charm, part of his appeal, and the reason he is president. He doesn't beat around the bush. But his other problem with the address, you said it depends on what the audience thinks, not what we think. That's correct. But he did hang out some markers there. He made promises that are extraordinary. He said the carnage in our cities stops as of today.
Right.
Right here, right now. It's like in his speech at the convention where he said he was going to end violence in America. Not diminish it, end it. Now,
okay, but that's hyperbole.
Yeah, but you're president, hyperbole. Well, all I'm saying is he's setting a bar that's going to be
very high.
He says, I'm going to eradicate jihadism in the world.
Right.
Eradicate it from the face of the earth. That's quite a promise, because these are going to be quoted back.
But he's never been understated. He's always been bombastic.
But he's never been president until today.
Okay. But does it matter? Does it matter that he may improve things in the inner city, and I hope he does, but not 100%? If he gets 60% improvement, he's a big winner. Nobody's going to remember that he said, I'm going to eradicate all crime. Same thing with ISIS. If ISIS is weakened, if we can see a more aggressive approach to them, the folks aren't going to say, okay, he didn't even wipe all of them off the face of the earth. They're going to applaud his accomplishments.
If he can reduce the murder rate in Chicago by 60%, I personally will bow to him on that achievement. The problem is he's making promises on issues and problems that are eternal, that have been with us forever. You know, he talked about the violence. We've been trying to eliminate it since Hammurabi. We haven't really succeeded, and a lot of people have tried. So all I'm saying is he's got to be a little bit careful, because he is now I'm going to return jobs, I'm going to bring prosperity, I'm going to take people off welfare, put them in work. That's a lot to offer. I support all that. But all I'm saying is, if you're asking what was the effect of the speech, the effect of the speech is in some ways it makes him hostage to his own future history.
Okay. Now, he now has to do a bunch of things very fast. Next week is going to be wild. Wild. He's going to sign executive order after executive order after executive order to continue to send this message. And this is a cliche, and I don't like to use it, but new sheriff in town, the swamp's going to be drained, and this is what I'm going to do in a few days. Imagine what I'm going to do in a few years. Do you expect that to happen?
I do expect it to happen, and I think he's likely to be more successful in that than other presidents for two reasons. Number one, he is endlessly energetic. This guy is the Energizer Bunny. He doesn't stop.
No.
And he doesn't sleep. He works. That's what he does. I think he'll be working on these one at a time. The other is he's lucking into a historical moment when Republicans in the House and the Senate, he may disdain them, but these guys have been working on legislation, actual policies written out in black and white for years to effectuate reforms that they have thought through and that have been rejected by either Harry Reid in the Senate
but the big
or
one
Obama.
is health care.
So there is this huge backlog of stuff
that they have.
Pre-thought through, pre-cooked, ready to go.
He's got an enormous opportunity, Donald Trump has.
He works with Ryan and with McConnell. He could do an enormous amount in several months.
Well, Pence is going to make that happen.
He's
behind the scenes, Pence. Always keep your eye on him. Charles, thank you. We appreciate it very much.